Tao Meeting Archives, February 28th, 2016, Vegetarianism and Social Conscience by Bill Bunting.
Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and do the meeting beginning ritual. 起立，面向佛堂，参加各位你们是一鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，参加各位你们是一鞠躬，开班一鞠躬，请坐下。
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to yet another iteration of the Sunday Tao Study Group. It's a gorgeous 60-degree day here in Indianapolis. We just got done with a week of 20s and 30s, but just in time for the weekend, warm weather reappears. It's a wonderful thing. I do so look forward to spring. In all the years that Derek and I have been doing this, I have made precious few talks on the topic of vegetarianism. And this week, I'm going to talk about vegetarianism. Not from a perspective of the multitudinous benefits of vegetarianism. Those are things that are fairly well publicly known and things we talk about here fairly frequently. This is more from the standpoint of social conscience. And I want to relate to you a couple of stories here. The first one that I think you'll all find marginally humorous, especially if any of you have actually ever been on a farm, is that I am, in my heart, soul, and for all practical purposes, a city boy. I've lived in Indiana for most of my life and been all over, but I am a city person. I, in my entire life, have only been on one working farm. And that severe practical joke, as it were, was at the behest of one of my fraternity brothers who thought that when I was in college it was a travesty against all that was natural and holy that I'd never been on a working farm in my life. So he conspired together with a couple of other folks and took me to a pig farm in Valparaiso, Indiana. Don't know how many of you have ever seen a pig farm. It's an experience. I'd never seen anything like a pig farm. You need to understand that for the vast majority of my life, I've been allergic to everything that has fuzz on it. And so dogs, cats, cows, chickens, you know, whatever, if it has feathers, fur, or hair, I can't be really anywhere near it where my face starts to swell shut. Over the years, that's gotten better. I can tolerate dogs these days as long as they stay out of my face. Can't get anywhere near cats. And I have this rule about not being around livestock that weighs more than I do. However, when I was in college, that rule hadn't yet fully evolved. and so my fraternity brother took me up to this pig farm. And I found out very quickly that even though it was called a pig farm, there were a variety of critters running around on this property, starting with about half a dozen kind of mangy-looking flea-bitten dogs laying around under the back porch, and a couple of white domestic geese running around the yard. Those are truly foul-tempered and obnoxious birds. And then about a 3.5 or 4 foot by 4 and a half foot tall cylindrical cage was a large black and white chicken. I've since come to find out that this thing was a rooster, and it hated me with a burning and unending passion. From the moment I got out of the car, this thing wanted a piece of me so bad it could taste it. I was sorely afraid I was going to have to shoot it. Unfortunately, I wasn't armed. I'd never seen a chicken that didn't come in a plastic bag at about 40 degrees Fahrenheit or colder, and so that was something of an experience for me. The dogs didn't pay me too terribly much attention, and I did my best to stay away from them. The geese likewise did not like me. They chased me all over the doggone place. And I have since learned that geese are not to be trifled with. But the main reason we were there was to see pigs. And there were a number of kind of Quonset hut looking barracks assemblies on this pig farm. If you want to know what a Quonset hut looks like, look up any World War II vintage military base. They're all over the place. They're semicircular kind of corrugated steel affairs with a door in the front and a door in the back, and in that case rows of bunks or what have you. In this case, there were 2 rows of pins on either side of about a 4-foot aisle that ran the length of the structure. And we walked in there, and as we were perusing the facility, as it were, this little teeny tiny baby pig came running out and down the aisle, and I reached down and scooped him up in my hands, and I looked at my frat brother and I said, "Look, Glenn, it's a baby pig." Yeah. A sow, that's the mother pig, is roughly the size of a Volkswagen microbus. They defend their children with a vehemence that I have never yet seen repeated in all of nature. Although I've never tried to pick up a bear cub, I hear that's worse. Both my frat brother and the farmer, who thought this was hysterical, said, "You know, you ought to put that pig down before its mama finds out." Now, by this time, the little guy was squealing and carrying on, and Mama had found out. Between me and this pig that is the size of a Volkswagen microbus was a gate that looked like one of the grill tops to a cheap $9.99 grocery store charcoal grill held onto a wooden post by 3 coat hangers. The mama pig wanted out of there in the worst way. I decided to put the piglet down and leave. That's my entire farming experience. I have no desire to repeat that experience in any way, shape, or form. So understand that my exposure to meat starts at a Kroger and ends on the dinner table. Also, please understand that my family does not follow my spiritual path. This is important because typically folks in my position and the ordained masters are asked not to come into contact with meat. However, in my case, this isn't always practicable. I remain vegetarian, but I still cook for my family, and my family still consumes meat. I have a 13-year-old daughter, Samantha, my baby. She is the most precious thing in my life. All of my children are. I love them dearly, but Samantha is, of all of them, the most spiritual. The first time I ever spoke to you about her, she was 3 years old and brought me a handful of her most precious toys and treasures to offer in the shrine to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, even though she could not possibly have understood the purpose of either the shrine or the offerings. It was the most precious thing I'd ever seen. My daughter has always had the ability to approach animals that either run from humans or try to hurt them without any fear at all. when she was 3 and 4 years old, she'd come walking up to my wife and I holding bees and wasps in her hands. She didn't know that they were supposed to hurt her, and they didn't. She can walk up to birds and bunny rabbits and dogs and all sorts of critters, and they just stand there and let her. It's the most amazing thing I have ever seen. I couldn't do it at gunpoint, but she can. And about a year ago, she developed from somewhere a social conscience. So when these things happen, you know, sometimes I'm a little slow on the uptake. I promise I'm trainable, but a little slow on the uptake now and again. It takes me a little while to catch on and catch up. My wife is very fond of Kentucky Fried Chicken, particularly on evenings where neither she nor I feel like cooking particularly. And all of a sudden, Samantha started refusing to eat chicken from there or Chick-fil-A or pretty much anywhere else. That was a point of some consternation for my wife and I, because she was holding the family hostage to her absolute vehement, willful refusal to consume the Kentucky Fried Chicken. The list of stuff she doesn't like is fairly impressive, but she'd never flat out refused, you know, to eat. And so I said, precious daughter of mine, why will you not eat the Kentucky Fried Chicken or the Chick-fil-A chicken? What's the problem with the chicken? And she says, there's not a problem with the chicken. There's a problem with the chicken companies. And I said, why? And she said, Chick-fil-A hates gay people, so I will not eat their chicken or anything else they make. Okay. That's Chick-fil-A. What's the story with Kentucky Fried Chicken? She sat down next to me on the couch and whipped out her cell phone and said, I want you to watch this video. And she showed me a video of how the chickens are farmed and prepared for sale. In 57 years, I don't believe, even despite my study of the Tao teachings, that I have ever truly considered the life of a chicken. But sitting on the couch with my daughter, I'm about to cry as it is, what I saw was horrifying. I don't have any idea if chickens are sentient or not. The only chicken I've ever seen that wasn't covered in plastic was the rooster who wanted to eat me. I respectfully declined to be eaten. It was okay for me to eat him. It wasn't okay going the other way at the time. A chicken's lifespan in a chicken farm is just shy of 5 weeks. They hatch these eggs, pump them full of growth hormones, get them to a marketable size, and then slaughter them in an automated process. And the automated process is brutal and unreliable. For the first time in my life, I considered the life of a chicken. No living thing in God's creation should be raised to be tortured to death. I watched this and I couldn't believe it. And I agreed with my daughter that she shouldn't eat the chickens from Kentucky Fried Chicken or Chick-fil-A. I don't know what they do to cows and pigs, but I can't imagine it's much better than what they do to the chickens. And it's horrible. It is part of our teachings, our traditions, our practices to try our best to end the suffering of other sentient beings and to bring about the reemergence of awakening and enlightenment in all humans. I cannot see awakening and enlightening in the minds of those who can do such things to what are essentially defenseless beings. There are, without a doubt, reasons, good reasons, unfortunately sometimes, for killing. Those things do happen. And I'm not going to sit here from up on my soapbox or my pedestal, either one, because I have begged you guys not ever to put me up there and tell any of you that you shouldn't eat meat because of the way the animals are raised or killed. I will only say that there is a newfound conviction and understanding in me for why that's important. We cannot embrace the teachings on one side and ignore them on the other. We cannot decry suffering and pain on one side and ignore it on the other. If you want to know what happened, the video's on YouTube. It's disgusting and disturbing and horrifying. And it is the reason why I'm giving this talk on vegetarianism. Because once again, from the mouth of babes comes the wisdom of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. And that wisdom, no matter what the source, is worthy of listening to and considering. That's what I would ask you to do today. Thank you so much for letting me share with you. And have a great rest of your weekend and a great rest of your Sunday. Thanks a whole bunch.
Let's go ahead and do the meeting ending ritual, everybody. 起立。 面向佛堂，持下3鞠躬，一鞠躬，再鞠躬，3鞠躬，持下各位点位是1鞠躬，结班1鞠躬。All done, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Join the Tao meeting live to participate in the questions and commentary. For more information, go to http://taoism.net/tao/connect-online.